So we're going to start with an actual protest that just happened with Antifa yesterday and a bunch of arrests that happened in Portland. And then we're going to get to the story about the much broader Antifa, international, well, mostly in the United States, but some international communist organizations that are now coming out. And they're just directly saying this. If Trump does this, we are going to get violent. It's crazy. That's in the second segment. Start with Portland. Then we're going to get to the entire Antifa organization directly saying in writing, publicly, they are coming back to the streets to get violent. This is insane. They're terrorists. I mean, how are they allowed to just overtly say this stuff, man? All right. So Antifa's back, you guys. This is happening. All right. So Antifa had a big protest in Portland that the police had to respond to a day or two ago. And, obviously protesting Trump. Then you also have this over here, which is the far left Antifa activists are waiting to see Trump in action. And how they are going to respond will depend on that. They also talk about Enrique Tarrio in this one. He is the leader of the Proud Boys who is going to be returning to his hometown in Philadelphia soon. That's where they're at. So we're going to look at those. And then we're going to look at the Elon Musk, the big salute that everyone's talking about and AOC's idiotic response to it. So that is what we're going to be doing in this video. So let's start right here. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. I appreciate you guys doing that. That's all I ask you to watch my content. Just subscribe to the channel one time and like this video. All right. So, the police were quick to shut down an Antifa mob in Portland protesting President Trump's return to the White House, arresting at least 5 people. Hundreds of anti-Trumpers marched through the streets downtown Portland on Tuesday night with some spray painting buildings along the route KOIN 6 reported. At least 5 protesters, Harmony Adcox, 31, Julia Jacobson, 22, Andrew Boland, 29, William John Leahy and Alistair McFarland, 19, were all taken into custody by the Portland Police and Oregon State Police. Okay, so check this out. Now I'm going to watch this video right here, and you guys are going to watch it with me. I paused it for you guys.
That led to these arrests.
Hey guys, good evening. So I'm actually going to note that protest that started on the waterfront was actually very peaceful. Not a lot of activity out there, just some shouting and some angry people really fighting for their cause. But that quickly turned into a march, which started on Southwest NATO Parkway, just down a few blocks behind me. And then it started again on Southwest Morrison, which is where we are now. And police were following in suit on bikes as they were following these protesters turned marchers. Now, as you can see through the remnants here, there's a sign from that protest. And I want to note really quick before we show you video of that scene earlier, there was actually a spray painted A with a circle around it. But
Antifa
graffiti removal services just removed that before we came on the air here. Now let's take a look at that video from earlier this afternoon, or this evening rather, as well over 24 police officers and Oregon State troopers detained a few folks. Now, before this, again, based on what I saw, the protest which started over on the waterfront seemed pretty peaceful. Under the watchful eye of Portland police, a few hundred yards away, nearly 200 people gathered to protest President Donald Trump's second inauguration, calling today's event the People's Inauguration.
The energy is also going to be one of longevity. We're in this for the long run, and that's the kind of energy.
The International League of People's Struggles. Let's look that up. Okay. International League of People's Struggles. What's that? It's an international organization that seeks to coordinate anti-imperialist, so anti-fascist, and democratic movements around the world. Communist Party of the Philippines founding chairman organized the ILPS in 2001. Oh, wow. So they're communists. The guy that you're looking at in that video is a communist. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, there you go. I mean, do we need to, I don't even think we need any additional context. The guy in this interview is a card-carrying communist.
That we want people to walk away with tonight, because this is not just about one demonstration. It's about building a movement and keeping our community safe.
Keeping the community safe. Hey, how do you do that? By beating the shit out of anybody who voted for Trump. You're all, that's interesting. I bet you think that Elon did a Nazi salute too, huh? I would assume that's probably what you thought there.
Now, about half of that original group made their way up NATO Parkway, then here onto Morrison, and I'm told that that group is actually separate from the original organizers of the protest on the waterfront. Now, I want to make it clear 5 arrests, according to Portland police officers, were made tonight, and while we aren't sure exactly.
So I have a feeling, okay? Like, I have a feeling that as we get into the Trump presidency, that these guys are in a position of vast overestimation of their power base. And I'll tell you exactly what I mean, okay? So when Trump was in office the first time, right? He had never been there, number one. A, he had never been there. 2, he didn't win the popular vote. He knew that, right? So in his mind, maybe, even though he got the electoral college, maybe there actually are more people on the other side than his. So he's going to be much more, he's going to be more careful. Also, he's going to have to seek re-election. So he's got to be more careful. This is his second term. He got elected after 4 years of Biden. Now, everybody is with him and he knows it. So as an example, people start attacking police. If people start attacking police, because right there, what I saw in that video is the police, there was a person trying to get to that other, and the police was going like this, like, hey, calm down, man, just calm down. And they were looking like they were going to charge into the cops. I don't think that's going to last very long, right? I think if you are trying to charge into police, right? Police that are trying to keep the place from, you want to go break a Nordstrom window. One of your friends breaks a Nordstrom window and then the cops jump on them and they're arresting them. You want to go barreling in there. I don't think it's going to be very long before the broader community accepts the cops whipping their ass, because again, I'm not down with police brutality for brutality's sake, but the world where people can just press cops as much as they want and the cops are not allowed to take the stick out on people if they need to, I think that's over. I think it's a matter of we are about to see a massive swing in the opposite direction because you took all the teeth away from the cops, dude. Okay, you defunded the police. You took every single thing they did out of context, made it out like they were this roaming gang of brutalists. And so many people that I know quit the job. And I think now, in the new world, it's going to go bad. It's going to go real bad for those people. And candidly, if you want to shut down cities and break things, you should look forward to having yourself broken. I'm just saying. Now, let's look at this Philadelphia Antifa story, and then we will go over to the Elon thing. In Philadelphia, anti-fascists are preparing for the day the leader of the local Proud Boys chapter gets out of prison, jailed for his role in the January 6th insurrection. Local Antifa are sure he will receive a presidential pardon, only to return to the city of brotherly love to relaunch his career of spreading hate and picking fights. Jesus. In Miami, the self-professed members of Antifa, a political movement of far-left militants who oppose neo-Nazis and white supremacists at demonstrations and other events, say they are bracing for a coming immigration crackdown. They're hoping President-elect Donald Trump's harshest campaign promises don't come to fruition, but they're ready in case they see civil rights being violated and they decide they have to act. Oh my God, what are you going to do? Hey, what are you guys going to do? Is that a threat? What are you going to do? In Miami, self-professed members of Antifa, a political movement of far-left militants who oppose neo-Nazis and white supremacists at demonstrations and other events, say they are bracing for a coming immigration... What? Oh, my God, I read that. Okay. In Ohio, a hardened Antifa coalition also waits to see what happens. Anti-fascist organizers and volunteers say they're gearing up. And in case America witnesses another George Floyd moment that galvanizes the far left and its black-clad militant wing into protest and action. I don't think that's going to go real well for you this time. Okay? I really don't think that's going to go well for you this time. Because now, it's not like you have the entire establishment and then you have the Trumpers and they're the ones who aren't in power. It's the exact opposite of that. So you guys want to go start fucking shit up in cities? You want to start burning things down? People aren't going to stand for it again. Okay? So you're not only going to have the police with green lights to whip your fucking asses and throw you in jail, you're going to have the civilians that are on the side of law and order also deputized to go down there and whip your asses. Okay? God, I would hate if that happened. I would hate if people like me had to take up for law and order and we could put down rioters, and then hold them there so that the police could come cuff them calmly, calmly, obviously, use our years of combat training to, combat sports training to subdue your violent attacks and, keep people from having their cities burned down. I mean, I'm not saying I would do that, but I'm just saying I'm sure it would not be fun at all to do that. And it's the same in California, where disparate groups of anti-fascists across the state are waiting and watching to see how a second Trump term pans out and whether they need to don their signature all-black clothing and hit the streets. If shit gets bad enough, that's the operating phrase right there. There's always going to be a response, said Daryl Lamont Jenkins, a self-proclaimed anti-fascist and executive director of the One People's Project. As we say in the black community, don't start nothing, won't be nothing. Oh, God, shut the fuck up, dude. Very few experts on domestic extremism truly understand the movement, which adherents call a political philosophy, but opponents decry as everything from a thuggish menace to an evil army bent on destroying America. During Trump's first term, Antifa rose to new prominence, fighting street brawls with far-right extremist groups emboldened by Trump's election and rhetoric. Even after Trump lost in 2020, Antifa continued its growth, buttressing the Black Lives Matter movement and resorting to civil disobedience and property damage to protest law enforcement's treatment of people of color. Now, as Trump enters a second term, anti-fascist activists find themselves facing down a new paradigm in which they say a leader they already oppose has shifted even further toward the far right. Oh my God. I'm so scared of the anti-fascists. I really hope they don't get mad. And then they, cause all these problems. You guys aren't scary, for the record, dude. To understand what anti-fascists have planned for the coming months and years under Trump, they interviewed more than a dozen self-proclaimed Antifa activists from across the country, in addition to experts and academics who study the movement. What emerged was a picture of active resistance, simmering anger, and readiness for battle. If and when the time comes, anti-fascists universally despise Trump as a full-blown fascist, worrying he will enact draconian and authoritarian policies that trample on the rule of law and civil rights. If he does, they say, they've already taken, they're ready to take action, whether with civil disobedience, protests, even violence. Hey, that's going to go really well for you guys this time. I cannot stress enough. That is not going to go well for you guys this time. Okay? If you haven't figured this out, the political climate is not on your side. And that's real bad for you, because there's a lot of people that are a lot scarier than you guys that were biting their teeth and holding back before because they have families and things that they're worried about, and where they knew if they stood up against you guys, they're going to go to prison. Okay? You guys, I absolutely guarantee you this is not going to go well for them if they actually start doing this shit again. They're going to get fucked up. They're going to get, in every way that you can define that, right? They're going to get thrown in jail. They're going to lose street fights. Every time they go out there, they're going to get beat up, okay? They're going to get arrested. They're going to go to jail. Anti-fascists across America worry the Trump administration will almost immediately begin to implement policies targeting three groups: immigrants, the transgender community, and women. Oh my God. Well, they must be really pissed about that then, because yep and yep. Women, give me a break. Hey, I bet you the executive order saying that there's only two genders. Antifa needs to kick into action. Trump communications director Stephen Chung cast scorn on anti-fascist activists who are criticizing the president-elect. These disturbed individuals clearly suffer from a debilitating and serious case of Trump derangement syndrome that has rotted their brains to the core, forcing them to live in an alternate reality devoid of truth or common sense. President Trump won a historic election with a massive mandate because the American people clearly support his America First policies that will unite the country after 4 years of disastrous failed leadership from Democrats. Correct. Anti-fascists and experts on extremism also foresee a new rise in America's far-right extremism groups under Trump. The only reason there's going to be any kind of rise of far-right anything is if these people start going out in the street and attacking people. Buoyed by promised pardons of their brethren for January 6th crimes and by Trump's embrace of popular extremist far-right figures, those groups will likely see a resurgence after January, experts say. Anti-fascists say if that happens, they will protect their neighborhoods from their sworn enemies, fighting on the streets again if necessary. Oh, my God. Fun. What distinguishes the extreme far left from the far right, however, is an abhorrence for meaningless violence, death, and terrorism. at least against people, anti-fascists, and experts on the movement, told USA Today. Absurd. Absurd. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Antifa hates violence. The only reason that people who oppose them enjoy violence is the thought of violence against Antifa because they're bullies who beat people up. Unbelievable. So the Antifa activists who spoke with USA Today all said they decry acts of terror like mass shootings or targeted attacks like the murder of United Healthcare CEO last month. Acts of mass violence are the province of the neo-Nazis, misogynists, incels, other far-right extremists and activists, not Antifa. Really? So what about the person who went in, the trans activist, and shot up that Christian school? You guys were down with that though, right? Because that person was Antifa, right? Several anti-fascists did not rule out acts of future violence by disenfranchised, political, disgruntled, self-proclaimed Antifa acting as lone wolves. Okay? If Trump really aspires to the kind of authoritarianism that many people fear he would like to, historically, dictatorship and authoritarianism can push people into violent action. This is going to go so bad for them this time. This is insane. This is insane. This is insane. From the looming specter of Project 2020, a policy blueprint drafted in part by white supremacists that Antifa believe threatens vulnerable communities across the country, to Trump's open embrace of conspiracy theories like the Great Replacement, anti-fascists said they're desperately worried about where the country is headed. Yeah, hey, these are the good guys, guys. Hey, this is what the good guys look like. Oh, man. Bring the energy from the street back home by getting organized and building power in everyday institutions of social life. This might mean organizing a union at work, yada, 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 yada. Oh my God, this is only halfway done. Hey, there you go. The good guys. This is enough, dude. You guys get the point. They're coming. There's going to be more Antifa stuff. It's going to happen. So buckle up for that.